So I think I was wrong about DMZ. I think it's better than what I initially thought. Let me explain. When we all first saw the early access reveal gameplay, I think we were all pretty disappointed because we were comparing it to Escape from Tarkov, and we thought it was going to be more similar to what Tarkov is. But DMZ really isn't anything like Tarkov. Yes, there's some similarities, but there's way more differences, and it plays completely unique compared to any other survival extract game. Let's go over what makes DMZ similar to Tarkov and what makes it different. Some of the things that are similar to Tarkov in a lot of ways is that yes, it is an extraction game. There are different AI to fight, there's AI bosses, and as well as other players on the map. That's pretty much the recipe for every single extraction shooter type game out there, and DMZ is no different. One thing that is similar to Tarkov that DMZ offers is that there are in-game missions that you can accomplish, like going in, looting different things, and grabbing different quest objects. Similar to how Tarkov is when you're doing specific quests that need you to gather different items or intel. Not only that, but DMZ has a lot of similar items that are lootable within the game, such as a car battery, light bulbs, different keys that open different locked doors, as well as things like bandages and stims. But in all honesty, that's pretty much the only similarities that there are between DMZ and Tarkov. So let's jump into the differences so you can just see how different this game mode is compared to something like Escape from Tarkov. One of the main differences in DMZ compared to Tarkov is that it doesn't actually have a stash necessarily. Yes, you can stash away different guns, but it doesn't have an actual stash like traditional looter shooters do, or like the stash that you think of when you think of Tarkov. It also doesn't follow the typical playstyle that if you go in with your gear, then you're going to lose all that gear and you're not going to get it back. But something that DMZ has to offer is something that's unique, where you don't necessarily lose your gun, but it goes on a cooldown, and you won't be able to use it for a couple hours, which I think is really unique. And I think for DMZ, that's the best way they could have possibly done it. Not only that, but you can reduce the cooldown timer by surviving different raids with a lot of money. You survive and extract with a decent bit of money, and it's going to dramatically decrease the time that it takes for you to use your gunsmith weapon again. So it gives a little bit of incentive to surviving with some extra cash. Speaking of cash, there really isn't much to do outside of a raid. In Tarkov, there's a ton of things you can do, between interacting with the traders and activating and turning in different quests, as well as organizing and gearing up your player and your stash. Not to mention all the things you can do in the hideout. But DMZ really doesn't have anything to do outside of creating your weapon and picking your different weapons that you want to bring into raid. Most of the things are done inside each raid, where you can go through, pick up quests, and continue on and gather loot and grabbing different quest items or different high value loot such as weapon cases. And all the buy systems are put into every single raid, similar to Warzone with the buy stations. You can buy things like different armor and different vehicles to travel around with, which is something that Tarkov has yet to implement, is what would be similar to what the in-game trader that Lightkeeper is supposed to be. Because of how Call of Duty is set up, it just makes sense that most things are done in raid rather than having a separate menu outside of every raid. Another thing that's different about DMZ compared to Tarkov is that there's a lot more action and you're constantly being put into fights. Whether it's against AI, different players, or different bosses, there's really no downtime before you're getting shot at and you have to fight your way out of every situation, which I think a lot of people are going to like, because in Escape from Tarkov, there's definitely some slow moments that put a lot of people off. And that's just what Call of Duty is. Call of Duty is known for just non-stop action, high adrenaline, high octane gameplay that keeps the player hooked throughout every single game. And I think that's something that DMZ does well. Overall, I think DMZ can be a fun game mode for a lot of people if they want to be more casual with the game, as DMZ is not as in-depth as Tarkov is. It's more of a game where you can just hop on at any time, play a raid or two, you put in as much action as you want, and you really don't have to grind a game like you do Tarkov. You don't have to put hours into every single wipe just to progress in the game, which is something that I think that DMZ actually lacked. There really isn't much of a progression system in the game, and I think in the future they're probably going to add something to keep more players occupied. That way it keeps players coming back to play more. I think that if DMZ can implement some type of progression system in the game that can keep people hooked for longer and have a reason to play DMZ, then I think it can be a solid game, especially for those casual players. You have to give credit to DMZ for what it is, as it appeals more to the casual player compared to something like Tarkov, which is a bit more hardcore. And the reason that DMZ is meant for more of a casual fan base is you have to remember that the majority of people that play Call of Duty play on a console. Now, I'm not hating on consoles or anything like that, but you're definitely limited to what you can do on a console compared to what you can do on a PC. With all the different mechanics that Escape from Tarkov has, there's no way that it can all be done on a controller, and that's something that limits how in-depth you can get on a game such as DMZ. So I think DMZ does a great job for what it is. As a game that's really meant to be played by more casual players, I think it hit every nail on the head. With just some tweaking and some progression updates, I think DMZ can be fun for a lot of people, especially those from the Tarkov community who are getting bored with the game right now with the lack of content. they can hop over to DMZ, get put into some immediate action, and have fun with the game while we wait for new stuff for Tarkov. But let me know what you guys think about DMZ and if it's something that you guys will try out, especially because it's a free game. You don't need to pay for anything. You can just download the game and hop on and try it out for yourself. But thank you all for watching, and don't forget, while you're commenting down below, hit that subscribe button and leave a like so we can continue to grow as a community. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.